Hey guys, it's Rob again, back with another video. So in this video, we're going to go through the entire finishing process of how we came to this beautiful, beautiful finish on this red pearl Telecaster body. Now, I'm going to go through this as quickly as possible and show you how you can achieve these results. The one thing I'm not going to do in this video, I'm not going to show you any of the spraying process because quite honestly, I don't have anybody to help me make these videos. I'm having to do these videos, by myself. I don't have a tripod or anything, but eventually, we'll get to that point. So, the project. Okay, so the Telecaster body itself came from Amazon from a company called Music Lily. The body was made of alder. We're not going to go through all of the headaches and, everything that we went through for 3 long years with this project because a lot of it was just user error and having to gain a little bit of knowledge because we hadn't done a guitar project in over 6 years at that point. And with my crazy work schedule, it was truly hard to get anything done. Okay, so alder is a non-porous wood. You do not need to grain fill alder, but you do need to seal it. So, before you go to do any kind of sealing, you need to fill any dents or dings in the guitar first. I like using this JB Weld Wood Restore Repair Putty. You can also use Bondo glazing putty. I do have some of that. But I really like this stuff because it really does an excellent job of filling any scratches, any dents, any dings. Awesome product. And it works very, very quickly. So, you fill any dents, you fill any dings. You want to sand the body smooth after you do all you're doing all your repairs. I have found with alder, when you go to sand the body to prepare it for finish, I found myself, I like using a 400 grit sandpaper with an orbital sander. In this instance, I didn't do that because I didn't have any 400 grit sandpaper hanging around. So what I did, I used a sheet of the Super Acelix K-600. It has the cutting speed of a P400, but it leaves a 600 grit scratch pattern, which is awesome. So, moving along from there, after you sand the body and get it ready for your finish, you're going to move on to your sanding sealer. I like using this Zinsser Bullseye Seal Coat Universal Sanding Sealer. If I'm not mistaken, I believe I used about 6 coats. I just did the normal, applied a coat, waited about 10 to 15 minutes before we applied the next one. If I'm not mistaken, I think when I got done applying the 6 coats and I gave it 24 hours to dry, I don't think I was too happy because there were some places where it felt like it didn't get enough sealer. So I sanded those places. I sanded the entire guitar with the Super Acelix. And then I applied, I believe it might have been another 3 coats. You basically want to apply your sanding sealer until every inch of the guitar is covered and there are no rough spots in the wood at all. So after your sanding sealer has been given 24 hours to dry, you come back, you can use that same Super Acelix K-600 to sand the sanding sealer smooth. Then you will go on to your primer. Now I used this Vallejo water-based primer. I do not recommend this stuff. I don't think this stuff was really meant to be sprayed out of a full-size spray gun, which is what I did. Instead, you want to stay within the Createx line of paints that I used. You want to use Createx Autoborne Sealer. You'll have to order it online, or if you have an airbrush store nearby you that sells the Createx line of paints, you'll have to purchase it there. Now you can color key your sealer. If you're like, this is a pearl red, I could have bought a red sealer. I don't like doing that. I usually just get a gray sealer because it's basically a neutral sealer that you can use with almost any color. That's just me, but however you want to attack the coloring process of your guitar project is up to you. So you want to apply enough coats to where the entire body is covered if you're doing a solid color, which is what I did, which was a pearl red. So I used 6 ounces of Wicked Colors Pearl Red, number 303. And you can spray these straight out of the bottle. I do not like doing that. So what I did, I used 6 colors. I am so sorry. I used 6 ounces of the Pearl Red. Now this right here, this UVLS Gloss Clear, this is going to be your carrier. You're going to apply about 2 ounces of the Gloss Clear to your paint, and it's going to turn that almost into your paint into a urethane paint. You're also going to need a reducer because you want the paint to have a nice even flow off your mixing stick. So this is 4011 reducer. This is basically Createx's go-to reducer for all their product line. Whether you're reducing paint or you're reducing, the Autoborne sealer, what have you. That's usually 10% by volume. So with 6 ounces of paint and 2 ounces of the Gloss Clear, you're going to be using a little bit under an ounce of the reducer. So I applied my paint, and you want to, when you mix everything together, your paint, your reducer, and the Gloss Clear, you want to make sure it's mixed thoroughly, and you want to let it acclimate for about 10 minutes. Let all those products marry together. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you, which is the best spray gun. I used a full-size, low-volume, low-pressure gun made by California Air Tools. And I used pretty much the whole amount of paint. The more coats that you apply, the darker your paint job will get. And I was trying to, even though this is a pearl, I was trying to get as close to a Fender Dakota Red as possible. So once your paint has been applied, I like giving the Createx line of paints a full 24 hours to dry. So when your 24 hours is up and the paint has fully dried, it's now time to apply your clear coat. Now I can stand here all day long. I like using clear coat out of a full-size spray gun. I like using 2K clear. But I did not feel in this this stage of the project, I didn't feel like mixing a hardener and mixing, the clear itself. So I just went ahead and I purchased this Spray Max 2K Clear. Now, if anybody knows anything about this Spray Max 2K Clear, you take this red tab You apply it to this valve stem at the bottom. You smack the can on a table, and what happens is that stem, it punctures another can inside this can. And then you have to shake the can for about 3 minutes and let those two products mix together. Now, before you even do that, before you puncture the can, you still have to shake the can thoroughly 3 minutes before you do that. So you shake the can for 3 minutes, put the red tab on the stem at the bottom, smack it on the table, puncture that can inside the can, and then shake the can for another 3 minutes, and you're ready to spray. So I applied 2 light tack coats, and then I applied 3 full coats. When you're done applying your 2 tack coats, when you go to apply your 3 full coats, you want to stay about 6 inches off of the body, and you can actually slow down a little bit. You can't go super slow because you'll wind up getting runs. When you do your tack coats, you want to apply them very, very quickly, because you're just building you're building up a tacky surface. You're not worried about coverage too much. You could get away with 1 tack coat. I personally like using 2 tack coats because it gives me just enough. It gives me enough tackiness for when I go to do that next coat. It has something to grab onto. So we did 2 light tack coats, then 3 full wet coats. Now you can start sanding and polishing your guitar probably within 24 to 48 hours. I do not recommend that, because you want to make sure that before you go to do your level sanding and polish sanding, you want to make sure that all the solvents are gassed out of the paint. So what I did, when I went ahead and I gave the body, I gave the clear a full week, a full 7 days to fully gas off and cure. Now, when I went to go do the sanding process, the level sanding process, I started with the Super Acelix K-800. You might be asking, what does the K mean? Super Acelix is made by a company called Kovacs, and they're out of Japan. The K series line of sandpapers, it's a Japanese grading system, just like the European grading system has a P in front of it. So to level all of the orange peel, because we did have some orange peel, you're going to get orange peel whether you're spraying out of a can or you're spraying out of a gun. It's just going to happen. I don't care what you set the air pressure at in your gun. You're going to get some level of orange peel. So we started leveling the orange peel with the K-800. The K-800, it has the speed of a P-600, but you get an 800 grit scratch pattern. So we used that. We got the top level, the orange peel level, and we got the back level. Now, even though this finish is beautiful, when I went to go use the K-800 on the sides of the guitar, I don't know what was going on, but we had a heck of a time getting the orange peel on the side of the guitar to level out. And with that being said, we did wind up having an issue. We did wind up burning through that edge right there. Now, me personally, I had been through so much already with this guitar project over 3 years that honestly, it doesn't even really bother me that much. And I can come back later on and I think I can repair it. I would probably just use some painter's tape and block off the area. I could probably do some light sanding in that area, apply some more pearl red, and apply some clear, and it would probably be good to go. We also had an issue on this corner right here when we went to go buff, and it wound up taking off some of the paint also, but that can be repaired also. But like I said, I'm so happy with the level, with the quality of this finish, that since the guitar is just for me, I may wind up just not even bother repairing those places. I don't know. I change my mind all the time, but we'll because we had a heck of a time getting the horns on the Telecaster are so hard to freaking sand and get level because it's like a really tight area. All right, so after we had got done leveling the orange peel with the K-800, we then moved on to this orange K-1200. So this has the speed of a P-1000, but you get a 1200 grit sanding scratch. So we replaced the 1200 grit scratches. I should say we replaced the 800 grit scratches with the 1200 grit scratches. So after we had leveled everything, got it nice and smooth with the K-1200, we took it to a next step. Kovacs also has a product called Super Bufflex. We started with this K-2000. Now the nice thing about the K-2000, it has the cutting speed. Now you probably think I'm going to say a K-1500. It has the cutting speed of a P-1200, but you get a 2000 grit scratch pattern. Also, the Super Acelix and the Super Bufflex, this is strictly a dry sanding technique, which is great because as good as wet sanding is, you never want to get water in any kind of holes, because if you get water in the holes, it's going to raise the finish. So we sanded the whole guitar with the K-2000, and then for the final step, we moved on to the K-3000. It has the cutting speed of a P-2500, but you get a 3000 grit scratch pattern. So when you've completely sanded your guitar with the K-3000, at that point, even though your guitar is going to have sort of a matte sheen to it, when you raise it up to a bright light before it's been polished, you're going to see some good shine coming through already. And then after you have completely sanded the whole guitar and have the finished level, the next step and my step, I have a homemade buffing machine. It's not a top of the line buffing machine, but I have these small 6-inch wheels from Harbor Freight. So this wheel right here is charged with Menzerna GW16. This is supposed to remove 1000 grit scratches on up. I would not recommend trying to remove 800 grit scratches with this, because it's not going to happen. So you could get everything done in one shot with this GW16, but we took it to the next level. So after we had polished the guitar with the GW16 and then cleaned it up and gave it a few minutes, gave the finish a few minutes to cool down, then we moved on to this buffing wheel, and we used the Menzerna G52 Super Finish. They also make a super finish called P175. The P175 is about $10 more, so I was trying to save a little bit of money. But this stuff right here is what gave it the glassy type of shine, the mirror type of shine that you've seen on that project over there. And that's where we are, ladies and gentlemen. That was the complete stage. Now, if you've never used a buffing machine before, this is not a top-of-the-line buffer. I went as cheap as I could, guys, when I built this buffing machine. You know, I didn't want to buy, you know, those professional buffing wheels that you see professional luthiers use. I might, down the line, go ahead and buy some 12-inch wheels. But this was just a project for myself. And as you can see here, the finish came out amazing. If there are any minor scratches in it, I'm not all that upset about it, because like I said, the level of you know, of gloss that came out of this finish is fantastic. So yeah, so that's my system. Like I said, do not use the full Vallejo primer. Use the Createx Autoborn Sealer. Whether you're color keying your project or just using the gray, you want to use, do not use this stuff. Get the Createx Autoborn Sealer. But that's pretty much it, guys. That's I prefer using alder because you don't have to fill the grain. And if you're somebody who has never done this before, I would highly recommend the Wicked Colors line or the Createx line of paints in general, because it's very, very hard to screw up. I mean, it's the ease of use is so amazing. But like I said, you know, these imperfections, you know, I'll more than likely at some point down the line go ahead and repair those. But for now, I am so pleased with this level of finish. I mean, I showed this to my wife, and she was like, "Oh my goodness, honey, I am so proud of you. It looks awesome." You know, and when you have that kind of support coming from your spouse, you know, because she knew exactly what this project had put me through, and she just was so supportive along the way. But yeah, that's gonna be it for this video. This video, guys. You know, I hope you all have, you know, benefited from this series. I hope you have learned something, and trust me, I'm still learning along the way. And you might think that, oh, there's no way I could achieve that level of finish. Guys, trust me, I'm not a professional luthier. If I can do this, you can do it too. Just amazing results. I'm so happy with this painting process finally completed. So that's going to be it, guys. Have a blessed day. Thanks for sticking with me through all of this. Take care of you. Take care of yourself. Take care of others. And we'll see you in the next video. Have a blessed day.